Well, welcome to the webinar, everyone. Another Wednesday, another lunch and learn, and today's topic, Disney Channel or dietitians. Where are kids getting their nutritional information? Last week when we teed this up and I was talking about what we were going to talk about today, I kind of warned everyone that this topic was going to be a little heavy. And as we prepared for today and as we went through everything in preparation, that's exactly what it ended up being. It became a very heavy topic. So I want to jump right in because we have a lot to cover. And I want to make sure that we have enough time to do so. So the question is, when it comes to nutritional information, where are our kids actually getting their information? Where are they learning it? Are they getting it from the Disney Channel? Are they getting it from the dietitians? And the reality is they're not really getting it from either, but we're gonna jump right into that in just a second. But first, I want to put a warning label up. The last time I did a kids nutrition program, I got a lot of messages from parents, from moms, from dads, from people that were concerned that the topic was a bit heavy. But the reality is the only way to address topics like this is to address them head on. We have a problem in this country, and unless we are very frank, unless we are very honest with ourselves, unless we actually take responsibility for what it is and why it is, then there's not any change ever going to take place. So I want to make sure that we as consumers, we as leaders in the health and wellness space, but most importantly, we as parents, as guardians, as people who care about the health and wellness of our children, that we actually understand what's happening in this country. The reality is this: we have a lot of very young people that are stepping on the scale and seeing numbers that they don't like. What's unfortunate is those people are a very young age, and it starts a lifelong struggle that just isn't a fun place to be. In fact, right now the numbers are pretty alarming. The numbers are that 1/3 of our kids are overweight, 1/6 of our kids are obese. The overweight is a BMI over 25, and the obese is a BMI over 30. These are children under the age of 18, but that's the number in the United States right now. From 1985 to 2017, this is, the evolution, if you will, of our teenage children. So this is ages 12 to 19. The obesity rate has risen 3x. That's right. And in that 30-year span, the obesity rate in this country has risen by 3 times the previous amount. That's unheard of in modern history. That's just crazy. As you can see the body composition. I mean, this is not a direction we want to head. And the unfortunate part is, as fast as it took, the 30 years it took to go 3x, the projections are it's going to take us half as long to go 3x again. That's the pace at which we're currently operating. So let's look at the actual numbers. Overweight kids are 80% more likely to be overweight adults. I want to let that number set in. That's right. If our children, the kids right now that are overweight, those children remain overweight as children, guess what? 80% of them will remain overweight as adults. They're going to struggle with this their whole life. The habits that they're forming right now, the eating issues that they have currently are going to continue through adulthood. So, what's the average American kid spending outside daily? Anyone have a guess? You ever thought about this? Well, the CDC wanted to know the answer, and it was pretty disturbing. It was a whopping 4 minutes. The average American kid spends 4 minutes outside daily. That's 4 minutes of activity daily. That's abysmal. And that's children. Imagine adults. I mean, the adults spend less time than that, but the average is spending 4 minutes a day outside. Now, obviously, some of you are going to say, okay, it's got to be the video games. Video games are the culprit. Video games are the reason why kids aren't going outside anymore. Video games are the reason why, our kids' minds are, where they are, and they can't focus, and they're not going outside, and they basically don't go out and play sports anymore. But I want you to think about something. The next time that you want to blame a video game for the kid's current situation, think that maybe the reason why they grabbed the joystick was because the remote control was taken. See, so many people want to look for the excuse. So many people want to look for the problem. So many people want to blame something for the issue. But the reality is we parents, we adults, we are part of the problem here. When we're grabbing the television remote and we're telling our kids to get off the joystick and go outside, it's kind of hard when they're watching us for the example. So just keep that in mind. So empty calories from added sugars and solid fats, 40% of kids' diets. 40% of their diets is coming from empty sugars and solid fats. 50% of those calories are coming from these 6 items. Sodas, you have obviously your fruit drinks, pizza, dairy desserts, or mainly ice cream. You have your grain desserts, or cookies, cupcakes, things of that nature, and then of course milk products. But 50% of those calories are coming from these 6 items. But 40% of their diet, a total of 40% of their diet, are coming from empty calorie sugars and solid fats. That's just insane. How does that happen? Well, it starts right here. We start advertising to kids in this country at a very young age. We set them in front of the television set and we start them early and say, okay, we're going to get you hooked. And then they go down the grocery store aisle. And now, when you go to a grocery store, they have their own shopping carts. We really have kids now that have their own shopping carts running through the grocery store. So we're teaching them at a very young age, hey, this is yours. This belongs to you. But unfortunately, they're seeing all the things they see on TV. Now, this picture actually, depicts, making some healthy choices here, but the reality is they're still making other choices. And part of the reason why is this right here. They're literally sitting there in front of a television set, watching their favorite cartoons, watching their favorite shows, watching whatever with their stuffed animal. But did you know that 50%, I want to let this set in for a second, 50% of the ads on television in children's programming are taken by the processed food industry. That's right. So 50% of the ads that our children are watching on a daily basis when they're watching their favorite TV shows are taken up by all of the salty, sugary, beverage, food product companies that are selling this stuff to our kids. You want to know why they're addicted to this stuff? You want to know why they're hooked? You want to know why when they go down the grocery aisle, they're grabbing these things? That's part of the reason. But the reality is this, of the 400,000 ads that our kids see, 80% of them promote high sugar and salt processed foods. So of the 400,000 ads that are out there that are aimed specifically to children, so of all the ads, of all the places they could see it on television at any time, any part of the day, 80% promote high sugar and salt processed foods. Is there any reason to question why they're addicted to these things? You want some examples? Here you go. From our friend Toucan Sam to the Mario Brothers to Dora the Explorer to the Slurpee machines to even Barbie herself. All of them have been sold, if you will, to sell processed food items. All of them, even Marvel Comics, have been sold to sell processed food items. And even fast food. That was one of the evolutions of McDonald's was the Happy Meal. The reality is this: kids want these things because they see these things. It's just like adults. When you see that commercial, when you see that thing that somebody has, and all of a sudden you have to have it, you just want it. It's just this cerebral portion of your brain that makes you have that compulsion. Kids are the same way when it comes to food. But unfortunately, what's going on with the food is we're having that addictive quality of the salts and sugars that they just simply can't overcome. And this is the terrible part. I've spoken on several different webinars about the bliss point. And if you have not seen some of the prior presentations that we've done on Wednesday Lunch and Learns, let me explain to you the bliss point. See, processed food companies spend a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of resources finding that perfect point, that perfect amount of sugar or salt that they can add to a particular product that hits the ultimate, the penultimate, if you will, point at which you have that addictive quality of the food, because if you add just a little bit more, it starts going down the other direction and taking away that addictive quality. So we call that, or what the food industry calls that, is the bliss point. That's that point at which the food is the most addictive it possibly can be. They spend millions of dollars every year trying to determine what that bliss point is. And then through advertising and providing these foods free to certain children as parts of different programs and other things, we get them addicted. And all of a sudden that addiction is just as strong as any drug on the planet, including, the fact that we have all these drug rehab centers, but we don't have a food rehab center. We literally get kids addicted to these sugary items, these salty items, and we do nothing other than tell them, well, don't eat that, eat this. But let's look at this. How addicted are our kids to the salts and sugars? Well, right now you have more than 80% of adolescents that do not eat the recommended 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables each day. So where are our kids learning their nutritional information? Where are they learning how to eat? Well, a lot of them are learning how to eat through their tantrums, through their fits, through their refusal to eat certain things, and most specifically, their refusal to eat fruits and vegetables. It just isn't part of their daily diet. It's just not something that they eat. In fact, if you want to talk about vegetables, the French fry, which is not even a vegetable, folks. By the time we take the potato and we put it into the deep fryer and add all of the different ingredients that go into making these things, these are not even vegetables. We get 25% of the vegetables that our children consume, 25%, 1 out of 4 of the vegetables they consume that we count as a vegetable is a French fry. That's how sad the situation is. Let's talk about sugar for a second. The American Heart Association recommends 6 teaspoons a day maximum for kids. 6. Okay. The average boy is consuming 27, the average girl 20. So just do a weekly total for me real quick. Okay. Just try to do the math in your head. It's 189 servings a week that boys are consuming. It's 140 servings a week that girls are consuming. If you do the other side of the equation and say, okay, well, how many should they have? They should have 42 servings. We are literally consuming almost 5 times the amount of sugar we're supposed to be consuming daily. Let that sit in for a second. We are almost consuming 5x the amount that we should have on a daily basis if you're a boy. Over 3x if you're a girl. This is on a daily. You want to know why we have an overweight issue in this country? You want to know why 1/3 of our kids are overweight and 1/6 are obese? This is it. This is the issue right here. And we as parents, we as guardians, we as adults are allowing this to happen, and we're not doing anything about it. What about sodium? Children age 8 to 18 consume nearly 3,400 milligrams a day. That's per day. That's twice the recommended amount. You want to know why so many kids have heart-related issues already as kids? You want to know why they have high blood pressure? You want to know how they have these addictions? This is it. This is the food in this country. Where's most of this coming from? Well, it's coming from their favorite stuff. Earlier we looked at the 6 most common foods that kids are eating, but here's where most of the sodium's coming from the pizza, from the snacks, from the sandwiches, the breads and rolls, the cold cuts and cured meats, and the cheeses. That's where that sodium's coming from. Those 6 items right there. So why are we talking about these things? This is supposed to be that, where are kids learning their nutritional advice? Here's the reality. The most difficult thing to do when you're starting any health and wellness journey is to break the bad habits you have. It's the hardest thing in the world to do. In fact, most people, they go a lifetime with the struggle of food, mainly because that dopamine response, that hypothalamus that's triggering the dopamine in your brain, that's basically that pleasure center that's saying, I need this, I want this, this is what makes me feel good about myself. All of that's coming from the things that we learned. All of those things are coming from our addictions that we created when we were children. The place and time to change this isn't when you become adult. The place and time to change this is right now. And we owe this to the next generation of adults to help them, as we said here today. Look at this. I mean, if you want to know how bad it is, 70% of obese children have at least one risk factor for heart disease, and 39% have two. These are kids under the age of 18. It's gotten so bad in this country that we don't even call type 2 diabetes adult onset diabetes anymore. We just call it type 2. I mean, heart disease is starting to become prevalent in children. These are people that have not even hit the age of 20 yet, and they're already having to see cardiologists. Some of them, almost 40% of them, already have two risk factors for heart disease, and they haven't even hit their 18th birthday yet. Schools. So obviously they should be learning this stuff in school, right? The title of this project is, the Disney Channel or dietitians, but schools, they obviously teach something to kids about nutrition, right? I mean, that's why we send them to school. The average is this, 3.4 hours per year. The days of learning nutrition in schools is over. Not that we ever did in the first place, but, the reality is this, there's just no time spent to it. Kids don't learn anything about nutrition in schools. They literally just kind of breeze through and just kind of get a little here, a little there. Literally in 13 years of school, if you count kindergarten and the 12 years of education, they get not even 3.5, less than 3.5 hours total of nutrition. That's just crazy. So let's talk about this for a sec. Kids are going through the lunch line every day. 3.5 hours a year. That's all they get, 3.5 hours a year. And we send them through this lunch line and we're like, okay, now make an informed choice. Because we as guardians, we as school administrators, we as the government, we as parents, we're going to provide you school lunches. We're going to basically make the decision. We're not going to pack your lunch. We're going to send you to school because we want to provide you a healthy snack, a healthy option, a healthy lunch. Well, the reality is this. The average school lunch, okay, basically costs $2.68 to make. $2.68 is what it costs to create a school lunch. Of that $2.68, if you look at the breakdown of all of the cost and all of the expense that goes into it, the food itself is actually only 38%. That's right. 5% is maintenance and repairs, 2% equipment, 1% supply, 2% other, and 52% labor and benefits. 38% of that $2.68 is the food. What that means is $1. $1 is spent on the food. So what do you get for a buck? What can you actually get for $1? Well, it looks something like this. And the reality is the most healthy thing that you see on this plate actually isn't the orange, because that's probably genetically modified because you're not spending enough money to actually get something that's non-genetically modified. It's probably the napkin. Probably has the most nutritional value. Because even if you look at the hidden thing, the thing that nobody counts, that barbecue sauce that everyone just kind of grabs and doesn't think twice about, that's 60 calories per item. 310 milligrams of salt, 0 grams of fat, 10 grams of sugar in just that one packet. Well, you know what? You count the nuggets up real quick. There's 7 or 8 of them there. You're probably going to need a second one because most people take it and don't even think about it. And then maybe even get a third one so they can take those wonderful potatoes and put those in it as well. Here's the actual breakdown of the school lunch. 982 calories, which is roughly 49% of a kid's nutritional value for the entire day. 1,704 milligrams of salt, which is 74% of their daily intake. 50.88 grams of fat, which is 82%. And 44 grams of sugar in this one lunch, which is 184% of their recommended daily allowance in this one school lunch. So not counting the couple of snacks they have during the day, not counting the snack that they have when they get home from school, not counting the breakfast that they probably skipped, or not counting the dinner that they may or may not have. The reality is they're consuming more sugar right here in this plate without even grabbing any of the main 6 items that they eat on a regular basis, which is your sodas, which is your fruit drinks, which is your pizzas, your dairy products, your dairy desserts, and your grain desserts. None of that is here. It's other than the cookies, obviously. It's basically their staple for their food lunch before they get out into the real world and get what they really want. Well, let's look at, the food items. We have these wonderful things called Lunchables. You see on the front, 11 grams of protein. That's obviously good for them, right? Let's dig a little deeper. That's 44 calories. 44 calories of this product is that 11 grams of protein, but yet that's found itself onto the front of the box. And if you look closer, the total calories in this is 320 calories. Okay, so let's do the quick math. So roughly 1/8 of the product is the protein, but yet that's what makes the marketing label. That's what makes the front of the box. That's why you can't trust the front of the box. You have to understand what the back is. When you actually look at the number, 72 calories, or almost double the amount of protein, comes from fat. Carbohydrates is 204 calories. So, man, we really have some sugar in this thing. In fact, so much so that we have 6.75 servings, more than a daily allotment of sugar for the kiddo in this one convenient, easy-to-grab Lunchable. How much is spent on obesity-related healthcare annually? $344 billion. Yeah, the U.S. economy sustains $344 billion spent on obesity-related healthcare every single year. That's $1,075 for every man, woman, and child in America. That's the number. Over $1,000 for every man, woman, and child related to obesity in this country. So let's look at these facts real quick. These numbers, they tell a story. We've talked about some of this already, but I want to kind of jump into it because, you can say all day 1 in 3 kids are overweight. But what does that really mean? It means 25 million children in the U.S. are already struggling with their weight. And you heard earlier, 80% of them that struggle with their weight as kids will struggle with their weight as adults. 25 million. So what does that actually look like? Well, it looks like this. 1970, you had 5 million kids that were overweight. 2015, you have 25 million. Kind of an alarming projection, if you can, and 45-year difference, how fast that's grown. But the one that really, we talked about earlier, they dropped the adult onset diabetes, and now we just call it type 2. 2010, there's 5,000 reported cases. By 2015, there's 208,000 reported cases. That's something that has to change. We have to do something about this. So what else? Let's look at the next thing. 30 minutes is the average amount of time kids spend outside playing. 30 minutes per week. The punchline was already kind of wasted earlier when I said the average kid is spending roughly 4 minutes a day outside. But the reality is 30 minutes is the average amount of time kids spend playing outside per week. 96% of elementary schools in this country have no physical education classes anymore. And 2 out of 3 kids don't get any daily physical activity. They just don't do it anymore. What's the point? Their faces are down in phones and all kinds of other things. We're not encouraging physical activity anymore, and as a result, this is what's happening. Well, let's look at the last one, because it's a big factor. 1 hour plus. If you just spend more than an hour a day watching television or screen or computer or smartphone or tablet or, you fill in the blank, some type of thing with a screen where you're watching some type of program, you have a 60% chance of being overweight and a 75% increased chance of being obese. But the average kid in this country is spending more than 7 hours in front of a TV or computer screen. 7 hours is the average time that is being spent. And all it takes is an hour, over an hour, in order to increase these risks. Today's children will be the first generation since the Great Depression projected to have a shorter lifespan than their parents on this planet. All of it related to their addiction to salt, sugar, and processed food. All of it because of their weight. All of it because we as adults are not setting a good example for them. We have to make a change. We have to teach these things. Now, this stat that I'm about to show you is probably the most disturbing of all of them. Because let's be frank, bullying is not something that we like. I mean, as somebody who grew up as a child without social media, without smartphones, I can't even imagine what my life would have been like without, with those things. And now kids are having to deal with all of this stuff. The information age, the internet, smartphones, social media, all of these stressors. And now you add weight to the equation. Well, 26% of sixth graders are bullied or teased or rejected daily based upon their size. 1 in 4. But here's the scary one. 61% of high schoolers that are overweight are teased or bullied on a daily basis. 61%. Now, as anyone that's ever gone through this as a child, this is the last thing you want. As a parent, this is the last thing you want for your child. We have to start the education process. We have to teach our children. We cannot rely on the Disney Channel or television to teach our kids what nutrition is. And we can't keep blaming them for their addictions or their not wanting to eat healthy. So here's the question. Which teaches our kids how to eat? The Disney Channel or dietitians? Well, the answer is neither one. Neither one of these actually teach our kids. The reality is our kids learn how to eat in 2 places. And this is part of where, the warning was all associated with. But the reality is our kids learn how to eat at the dinner table at which they consume food with their family and in front of the television set that they watch so often. Those are the 2 places that they learn how to eat. Those are the 2 places that they learn their nutritional information. These are the 2 places where they form their habits that will affect their lives for the rest of their lives. We as parents, we as guardians, we as adults, we as educated individuals have got to change this dynamic and start providing kids better resources, better information, better tools, better choices so that they don't have these struggles the rest of their life. We have to be the guiding light. We have to be that voice of reason. We have to be that place where they can come to get the information that they need to make better choices so that they are better people for a better world. Remember this. Your child will always follow your example, but never your advice. As a parent that has 2 well-developed teenage children, I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old daughter who's about to graduate high school. So 19-year-old's finishing up his freshman year in college and a 17-year-old who graduated high school. I always find it amusing when they throw things back at me that I've said, that I've done, or that they've seen. And I find it amusing because I, as the parent, always have that concept in my mind, do as I say, not as I do. But the reality is this, they always do as I do, but never what I say. They watch my example. They see what I eat. They understand what food is based upon what I've done. They understand what's right and wrong based upon how I react to situations. They understand how to interact with people based upon my interactions with other people. Kids are watching us all the time. Here's just an example. When kids want to learn, they know the difference. They are, sponges for this information. We just have to provide it for them. You want to know if they really follow what we do? just look at some of these pictures. Our CEO laughs all the time. He tells a story about, when his twin boys were little bitty, they bought him these cars and, he was hoping that they would get in there and just start playing with these cars. And they both sat down in their car and they refused to play with them until they had the keys to the car. Well, they're 3 years old. No one had ever taught them that, you have to have keys for a car. How did they learn that? They watched the parents grab the keys every day. They watched the parents take those keys and put them into the ignition of the car and turn the key so that the car turned on. Parents didn't have to explain to the kids that the keys are for the car and for the car to work. The kids watched, they learned, and that's what they did. Same thing here. From talking on the phone to, learning how to shave to, healthy choices. Kids are watching us as parents, as examples, as adults every single day. We have to be that guiding light. And when it comes to nutrition, guess what, guys? We're going to have to be the ones that teach. We cannot rely on the Disney Channel and we cannot rely on the dietitians. We're going to have to do it ourselves. At ID Life, we believe in healthy simplified. We believe in mirroring choices. We believe in giving people options. We believe in giving people the opportunity to teach kids from the beginning. So as a result, we've created the kids experience. As adults, we have the experience for them, but as, for the kids, we have something for them as well. We wanted to create the kids experience so that parents could have their experience and kids can mirror those good habits. From nutrition in the morning with a shake to hydration in the afternoon to hydration, when they need it during the day with water as opposed to other things, to their nutrition at night, and then establishing a good bedtime. And, obviously we have the kids bar as a healthy snack as well. You want to learn more about ID Life. You want to know what we're really about. You want to know why that, these kids topics mean so much to us. Well, plug into us, find out what's going on more. Our CEO does a live event every Monday night at 8:30 Central Time. I encourage you to plug into that. He does an amazing job of explaining what ID Life is about, what the purpose, what the intent, what we're doing and why we're doing it. So, I'd highly encourage you to plug in to his live event every Monday night, 8:30 Central Time, right here where you are now. Want to learn more about the experience, want to learn more about the results people are getting, want to learn more about why we do what we do, well, go to myidlifestory.com and check it out. All kinds of people just like you that have had experiences that started in the same place you are and have had some amazing results by doing 3 simple steps that take less than 3 minutes a day. Simply by just following a program, creating a support system, having the network so that they could get involved and plug into people of like mind and like character. Want to learn more about what ID Life has going on? You could always join us in Las Vegas. We are doing something that we call Live Up Vegas, September 15th through the 17th. We would love to have you there at Planet Hollywood. It's going to be an amazing event. I will tell you, it is selling out super fast. We don't have a ton of space left. And I say that tongue in cheek because, this event has only been announced for a few weeks now. And the number is getting a bit crazy on the number of people that are registered for this. So highly encourage you to plug in and get your space in this event because space is limited, and we'd love to see you there. Next week we're gonna switch it up a little bit. This week was really heavy. This week was really hard from a topic standpoint. But next week we're gonna talk about healthy and fun food swaps. We're gonna talk about things that you may have never even thought of, where you could change one thing in a recipe and make something a little bit healthier. Save yourself, just a few calories. And most people don't appreciate or understand by saving simply, 100 calories a day from your current diet, you could literally shave 12 to 15 pounds off your current self in the next year. That's right. Just cutting out 100 calories, making something a little bit healthier, you could literally lose 12 to 15 pounds in the next year. And I haven't met anybody that didn't want to lose 12 to 15 pounds. So plug in next week, learn a little bit more, learn about how you can make eating fun. More importantly, learn how you can make some food swaps that are not only fun, but also good for you and may actually make the thing taste a little bit better than you currently are. So until next time, this is Mark Bennett on behalf of ID Life. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to talking to you again next time. Thanks.